Okay, so for today, guys, we're going to start our discussion on financial statements analysis. And we know that when we do financial statements analysis, we have to be familiar with the financial statements that are the result of the accounting process. So, di ba natutunan nyo sa accounting, you learned in your accounting subjects that one of the end goals of the accounting process is for to generate financial statements that will be used by different stakeholders, no? Yung output kasi ng accounting process, ginagamit yan ng investors, ng government, ginagamit din yan, of course, ng company itself, ng suppliers. Okay, so several factors, several parties that make use of the financial statements output born out of the accounting process. Okay, so let's first start with identifying ano ba yung mga financial statements na generate ng accounting process. So nga, can you identify what are the FS, no, financial statements? Ano itong mga to? What are they? So paki-chat na lang, guys, ano yung mga financial statements na generate ng accounting process. Okay, thank you, Ava, thank you. That's income statement, no? So that's one, income statement. Okay, Basti, thank you. Another one is the balance sheet. Okay, what else? Okay, Mika, thank you. That's a statement of cash flows. Okay, Mark, may iba kay Mark pala, no? So Mika says it's statement of cash flows. That's correct. Tapos kay Mark, ang sabi niya, statement of changes. Statement of changes. What you have learned so far is yung equity natin, yung capital ng either sole proprietorship or ng corporation. Okay, ng partnership or sole proprietorship. So pag sole proprietorship or partnership, it's a statement of changes in capital, no? Capital ng isang tao or capital ng maraming tao. But if it's a corporation, you call it statement of changes you call it shareholders equity. Okay, yung shareholders, lumalabas yan sa corporation. Shareholders, S apostrophe kasi marami. Okay, equity, but the equity is shareholders. That means corporation to. No? And ang abbreviated dito is statement of changes in retained earnings. Okay, statement of changes in retained earnings. Okay, so ano pa? Isa pa, guys, isa pa. One more. Not adjusting entries. Okay, ito na. Ava, thank you. It's the notes to the financial statements. Okay? So let's write it. Notes to the financial statements. Okay, bakit nagkakaroon ng notes? Kasi hindi naman lahat, guys, ng information may lalagay dun sa balance sheet or sa income statement. Okay? Some need to be as a supporting document. So that's why you have notes to the financial statement. Kasi may may rule din sa may gap din sa pag-create ng financial statements, na kunyari balance sheet or income statement, may mga rules sa form sa paggawa. So hindi lahat pa pwede ipasok, no? Lahat ng information. That's why naglalagay na lang ng notes, no? That you'll notice that, guys, sa project nyo, pag nakuha nyo na yung FS, makikita nyo ang daming notes doon. That's why when you get the financial statements of the companies of your choice, you have to make sure that it's the audited financial statements. Kasi yung audited, sinasama doon yung notes to the financial statements. And you'll get lots of information from the notes to the financial statements. Okay, let's start with let's quickly define what's the income statement. Okay, ano nga ba yung income statement? What does this tell us? It tells us of Pag income statement, ito, sinasabi sa atin, anong pinapakita sa atin ito? Ito yung results of operations, di ba? Yung resulta ng operations. Pag sinabi natin operations, syempre, andyan si sales, andyan yung revenues, lahat ng benta, lahat ng mga expenses, no? Results of operations of the firm for a what? Okay, kailangan naka-identify, yes, for a given period or for a specific period of time. Okay, so period of time yan, ano? Period of time. So it can be 1 year, no? It can be 1 year, it can be 6 months, it can be 1 month. Iba nga nakikita ko, may 1 week. No? Okay, so that's your income statement. That's a period. Kunyari, if it's 1 week, so could be from Monday to Sunday, could be 1 day, no? Basta at the beginning of the day up to the end of the day. Basta ano siya, period siya, for a period of time. Okay, and as we said a while ago, ang laman yan, yung revenues, lahat ng mga expenses, pati yung profit ng firm. Okay? And then, yung balance sheet naman, it's different from the income statement because this tells us of the what? Financial P or S. Ano to? Okay, that's correct. Financial standing. Ano yung standing ng company? Ano yung financial? Ano yung P? Financial position. Correct. Thank you, Basti. Thank you, Eva. No? Financial position or financial standing at a specific what? Okay, thank you, Mika. It's a point in time. So, it's like a snapshot, no? Parang kinuhaan natin ng camera. It's a snapshot of the assets, no? Assets, liabilities, okay, and equity of the firm at a specific point in time. Kunyari, as of, kaya makikita nyo yung balance sheet as of December 31. So, nung December 31, how much was cash? How much was shareholders' equity, common stock, etc. No? It's always pegged on a specific point in time. So that it's possible that the following day, iba na yung cash balance. Iba na yung receivables balance. Okay? So at that specific time, at that specific day, okay, ayun yung balances. Ayun yung, sabi natin, ano ba yung mga laman ng balance sheet? Andyan si assets, no? So we have there your assets. We have there your liabilities. You have your equity. Doon natin makikita yan sa balance sheet. By the way, guys, itong income statement, di ba makikita natin dito, kunyari, for the period, no? For the period covered, but ibang different ways to indicate that the income statement is a period. Kunyari, December 31, yeah, 2020. Okay, so what does this mean? For the year, kunyari, for the year ended, no? For the year ended. So pag sinabing for the year ended, you're looking at one whole year. Nag-e-end siya sa December 31. So anong klaseng year ang tinitinan dito? What type of year is used by the company? It's the letter C, guys. Letter C. Okay. Thank you, Basti. Thank you, Ava. No? Correct. Thank you, Mark. So tama, calendar year. Pag ending December 31, some companies do not use the calendar year. Kunyari, ang ending nila from July 1 to June 30 of the following year. Anong klase yun? Anong klaseng, okay, correct. Thank you. That's good. So fiscal year yung ginagamit, no? Pag ganun yung ending. Any date, any year ending other than December 31 is considered fiscal year. Okay. How about yung, so alam natin guys, so sa income statement, ang laman yan, yung mga revenues, expenses, okay, profit, doon natin makikita yan sa income statement kasi results of operations yan. Ang balance sheet naman, makikita natin dyan yung assets, liabilities, at saka capital or equity. Pag corporation, shareholders' equity. Pag sole proprietorship, capital. Yung capital ng sole proprietor. If it's partnership, capital lang members ng partnership. Kung 5 sila, so A capital, B capital, C capital, D capital, E capital, yung 5 tao na yun. Okay, on the other hand, guys, yung statement of cash flows, ito, it tells us of the blank and blank of cash, syempre, no? For a specific, ano din to, no? Period of time din to, no? Period of time from the blank, blank, and blank activities. Okay, I hope you understand my scribbles here. Okay, so ano siya, guys? Blank and blank of cash. So ano kaya tong S at saka U na to? For a specific period of time. Just like the income statement, yung cash flows, it's done for a specific period of time. Tapos from blank, blank, and blank activities. Ano kaya yung unang blank na yan? Anyone? Ayan, guys, ha? Okay, sorry about that. So ano yung guys? S. Anyone? Kasi ang cash flow, tinitingnan natin yung galaw ng cash, no? So it's the sources. Saan ang galing yung cash? Where did it come from? So sources and saan siya ginamit? Uses. So lahat ng pagpasok ng cash at lahat ng gamit ng cash, okay, again, for a specific period of time, coming from which activities to? Ano activities? Okay, thank you, Mika. You're correct. Operating, thank you, Mark. You're correct, no? Yan. Basti, salamat. Okay, all of these answers are correct. Operating, investing, financing. Okay, so ang statement of cash flows, yun ang tinitingnan natin, no? Sources, saan ba nang galing yung cash? Uses, saan ba ginamit yung cash? Okay, of course, may period yan for a specific period of time. And then coming from operating, investing, and financing activities. Okay, then yung statement of changes in shareholders' equity, this is the movement of the shareholders, no? Accounts, no? So dyan papasok yung common stock at saka retained earnings. Magkano siya at the beginning of the period, and then how much was it at the end of the period. Okay, so ito lang yung galaw ng galaw ng shareholders' equity portion of the balance sheet. So it involves, yung common stock or preferred stock. We're talking, look at the corporation, no? Kasi pag sole proprietorship, di ba, statement of changes in equity or in capital. Ang tinitingnan doon, how much was capital at the beginning of the year and how much is it at the end of the year, no? So that will be affected by, for example, yung profit, no? Yung net income. Kasi i-add yun sa capital, di ba? If you recall your sole proprietorship accounting. Okay, and then plus the notes, yung mga hindi pwedeng ilagay dun sa balance sheet, sa income statement, sa statement of cash flows, linalagay sa notes as to reinforce, kasi kailangan importante disclose, na-disclose dapat yung ginagawa ng business, no? So that's rini-require yan, no? Sa auditing process, rini-require dapat na may full disclosure. Hindi pa pwedeng magtatago Kasi remember, sino ba yung mga users ng financial statements? Possible investors. Lalo-lalo na guys, pag listed yung company. Pag listed yung company, if it's listed in the Philippine Stock Exchange, maraming possible na mag-invest dun sa company na yon through the secondary market, di ba? Bibili sila ng stocks sa secondary market. Kailangan nag-disclose yung company ng mga transactions sila or very relevant na transactions na ginagawa nila. Okay? All right. So let's go back to our discussion here. Okay. O nga pala, sandali before we end, no? Before we go there. Sa balance sheet, guys, makikita natin diyan, 'di ba, yung yung assets, liabilities and equity. Okay, according to ano ba yung mga 5 classifications ng assets natin sa balance sheet? Sa balance sheet, no? Ano yung mga classification ng assets natin? When you take a look at the balance sheet, ano yung mga makikita natin assets? So let's just write that. Assets, no? So meron tayong 5, no? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay, so what are they? Receivables, cash, okay, inventory, thank you so much, Aba, Basti, okay, Aba, okay, prepayment, okay. Lahat ng mga to guys, under what yan? Anong klaseng assets yan? Current assets, okay? So sulat natin dito, current assets. Under current assets, you have yung na-mention yung kanina, yung 5, no? You have your cash and cash equivalents. You have, nabanggit nyo yung, inventory. Nabanggit nyo rin yung prepayments. Did somebody, and receivables, no? Receivables. Okay, and then, ano pa yung isa, guys? May isang pangalawa pa. Dito, after cash. Did you mention that? Yun. Andito. Nabanggitan ni Ava, no? It's short-term investments. Okay, so dito, short-term investments, or you have your marketable securities. So lahat ng yan, guys, nasa under current assets yan. Okay? So meron pa tayong non-current assets na 4. Ano yung mga non-current assets na yun? What are those non-current assets? Okay, land. Base on yung NBM. Income, ADA is with income statement yun. Okay, ang marked land, ano ba to? Oo. Yan, sige. Kanina pa ba yun? Okay, sorry. Alright, so 4 yung non-current assets natin. Ano yun? What are those non-current assets? Land, kanina nabanggit, so that forms part of PPE. No? PPE, property, plant, and equipment, or fixed assets. No? Okay, ano pa? Accumulated depreciation is part of your PPE. No? So, contra asset siya. Okay, so here we have, sabi niya, long-term investment. Dito yan. Long-term investments. Okay, ano pa? We still have 2 more. Okay, other assets, sabi ni Eva. Can you give an example, Eva, of other assets? Ito yung mga hindi natin makla-classify dito sa sa others, no? Yung sa nabanggit natin. May isa pa tayo, no? We still have 1 more. One more, guys. O, clue. Dinidiscuss nyo ba yung Noli Me Tangere? Ewan ko kung dati kasi yung Noli at saka Philly required reading sa amin eh. Dude, ayan, correct. Basti, salamat, no? Nung sinabi ko Noli Me Tangere, touch me not, no? So that's intangible assets, that's correct. Yan, okay. So these are the five main classifications of assets sa balance sheet. So you have current assets, 5 klase yan. Tapos, these are also arranged according to liquidity. Yung non-current natin includes long-term investments, PPE, property, plant, and equipment, intangible assets, other assets. Ano ba itong laman ng intangible assets na to? Can you give me an example? Examples of intangible assets? Anyone, guys? Examples ng intangible assets. Okay, correct, no? Copyrights, okay? IPR, intellectual property rights, patents, okay? Ano pa? Brand, yes. Goodwill, no? Goodwill, trademark, okay? So those are examples of, yan, nabanggit pala yung goodwill ni Basti. Trademark, thank you, Mika, that's correct. So those are examples of, sulat natin dito, trademark. So these are examples of intangible assets. So klina-classify natin siya as another form of asset, intangible. Okay? All right, so these are the main classifications of your assets. Okay, so just be aware of this, no? Kasi sa yung subject naman natin, we're not going to discuss how do we record a transaction kung long-term investment siya or intangible asset siya. Okay? Later on, guys, pag nag-college kayo, pag kunyari accountancy kayo, aaralin niyo yan lahat ng pati rules in how to record or journalize kung ang transaction involves PPE, other assets, etc. So may mga alam niyo naman GAAP, no? Yung generally accepted accounting principles, or yung ngayon yung mga IFRS na, International Financial Reporting Standards, PFRS yung sa Philippines. Okay. So let's go back to our main worksheet ito. So here we have the income statement of this company, Advanced Technologies. We also have the balance sheet, and then we will be required to construct the statement of cash flows. And then sa ilalim, guys, may mga dapat tayong i-compute, NOWC, TOC, okay? Investment in TOC, NOPAT, etc. We won't be able to finish everything at this day. So the rest of this we'll be able to finish next meeting, plus another worksheet that we're going to work on. Okay, so let's start with this first. The name of the company is Advanced Technologies. Okay, dito sinasabi sa atin, calculate the NOWC, the TOC, the NOPAT, etc. Free cash flow, okay, ROIC. Parang kulang tong ano. Parang naputol ko yung ano. Okay, anyway, naputol ko yung sentence. I'll just give the necessary changes. Okay, so here we have Advanced Technologies. You have the income statement for 2020 at saka 2019. And tapos may qualifier dito that these are in thousands of pesos. Sometimes ang makikita nyo, guys, ganito, ano? So ganyan yung makikita natin, no? Which means that this one is actually 945 million. Okay? 945,000. Okay, so yung number niyan, dadagdagan natin ng 3 zero. So that's 945 million. Okay? So by how much did it grow? Ilang percent yung growth niya comparing 2019 and 2020? Anyone? Ilang percent yung growth ng okay, percent. But the absolute increase is 45,000. You're correct. Pero yung I'm asking for the percentage growth. Okay, Mark, how did you get 5%? Can you share to the class? Paano nakuha yung 5%? Okay, 45. How did you get 45? Pwede ka mag-unmute, Mark, para mas madali na lang.
Hello.
Yes?
Hello.
Oh,
Sir, I just subtracted po yung growth like from 2020 to 2019.
okay,
So
so ito,
945, yes,
945
945K
minus,
minus 900K. I mean
okay,
900
okay,
and then the the result I just divided by 900K to get the growth from 2019.
okay. So is this a formula that you used?
Yes.
Okay. Thank you, Mark. Thank you, Mark. Tama yun, ano? Salamat. Very correct, no? So, 5% yung answer na to. Okay? That's 5%. So, in general, guys, ang growth rate, paano natin, ano yung formula na yun? So, let's use what Mark mentioned. It's the value, let's say value at time t minus value at time t minus 1, yung previous to, no? T minus 1 over the value at time t. Okay? So that's the correct answer. And we can actually simplify this kasi sa Excel, medyo mahirap yung formula na to. Can somebody propose what's an easier formula so that it's easier to use that even in Excel? Meron ba tayong pwedeng magamit na alternative formula? Actually, it comes from that one also. Sorry, mali ako. No? It should be t minus 1. Okay? Yung previous. Yung basis natin. Can anyone suggest? Okay, may question si Basti. Basti, ito yung ginamit ni Mark na formula, no? Okay. Now, when you do this in Excel, pag ginamit natin sa Excel to, yan, di ba, magpa-parenthesis tayo, then is equal to yung sinabi ni Mark na yung value in 2020 minus the value in 2019, then close parenthesis, then divided by the value in 2019. Okay? So, which is this one, no? Which is this one? I'm asking, okay, Hans, yung pa rin yun, no? Yung pa rin yun. It's the same formula. But thank you for the answer. Is there a F11 minus, wait, F11 minus G11? Okay, it's the same formula, no, Hans? Any better way? Better kasi mas mabilis siya. Yung growth function, yes, I'm asking for the growth. Okay, because this is the formula used by Mark, which was also specified here by Hans. But is there a quote unquote faster in the sense that you don't have to deal with actually three values of the variables, no? Okay, siguro medyo hindi lang maganda yung pagka ko, but okay, so let me discuss that. Sorry guys, mukhang baka hindi maganda yung pagka-ask ko ng question, no? But the formula, guys, is this one. Simplify lang natin to. The growth rate is best, mas mabilis siya kahit sa Excel, no? By just distributing your denominator to the numerators. Ayan, okay. So ayan sabi ni Ava. That's what I meant, no? Thank you, Ava, for that. So it's actually the distribute natin, no? So it's v sub t over v sub t minus 1 and then minus 1. Okay? So that's it. The current divided by the previous minus 1. That's easy to do even in Excel. Kaya nga kasi magkakaroon tayo ng mga questions na we'll be computing for the growth rate, it's easier to do it that way. So, tingnan nyo sa Excel, is equal to current divided by previous minus 1. Okay? So, that's it. You don't have to insert the parentheses. Okay? Enter. You get also 5%. Alright? So, medyo, throughout the course, our course, guys, I'm going to teach you some good techniques as far as modeling is concerned. Sabi nga natin, ang platform natin, Excel, hanggang dulo na to, no? So, I'm going to teach you some tips and tricks on how to maximize or optimize the use of Excel. All right, so there was a 5% growth in sales from comparing 2019 and 2020. No? Sales increased by 45 million, which translates into a 5% growth rate. Okay, let's go next to the next line, which is expenses, excluding depreciation and amortization. Now, you notice guys na expenses, no? Sinama up lang niya yung mga expenses, pero he singled out depreciation and amortization. Is there any particular reason why sineparate si depreciation and amortization? Why of all the many expenses, bakit sila yung hiniwalay? Bakit hindi expenses excluding transportation expense? Expenses excluding insurance expense or interest expense? Sorry for the insurance, it should be interest expense. No? Bakit siningle out si depreciation and amortization? What do you think is the logic behind that? Any guess? Any answer? Okay, so sige, anin ko na guys ha. Ayun, thank you Ava, you're correct, no? Ava, paki-share mo sa lahat. That's correct. Yan, okay. Depreciation guys and amortization are non-cash expenses. Okay, so usually ang ginagawa dyan, sinesegregate yung non-cash expenses for the simple reason that later on we're going to use this amount. Kung ano tong non-cash expenses. You'll see later pag nagpunta tayo sa cash flow statement, no? Okay, but thank you Ava, that's correct, no? So it's these are non-cash expenses. And when you subtract expenses, excluding the non-cash expenses, in this case, depreciation and amortization from sales, you get this measure, EBITDA. Okay, is this the first time have you met this in your prior accounting subjects, guys? Yung EBITDA na to? Paki-yes or no lang, kung na-meet nyo na siya, kung nagamit nyo na siya. Okay, thank you. Okay, thank you, Rans, Mika, thank you, Hans. Okay, good. Basti, Kristen. Salamat ha. First time nyo na ma-meet to, itong EBITDA na to. Okay, ang ibig sabihin ng EBITDA, earnings before interest, taxes, depreciation, and amortization. So that's what that means. Okay? EBITDA, earnings before interest, taxes, depreciation, and amortization. Okay, and then we subtract now depreciation and amortization, okay, to get your EBIT. Your EBIT is earnings before interest and taxes. Okay? Others call this the operating profit. Operating profit, kasi lahat ng mga operating expenses natanggal na, yung financing cost hindi pa natatanggal, no? Si interest and taxes. Okay? So EBIT is oftentimes called also as your operating income or operating profit. And then we subtract interest expense, you get earnings before tax. Okay? And then you subtract tax. My apologies guys, I was not able to update this. 40% pa kasi to eh. So medyo luma ng tax rate na to. Ngayon, ang tax rate actually is mga 30% yata, corporate income tax. But let's just assume for purposes of discussion na 40%. So how did you get this? How was this arrived at, yung 35,492? Anyone? Could you please write it in the chat box or unmute yourself? Paano nakuha yung 35,492? Anyone? $887, okay. Sabi ni Ava, no? 8873 sa Basti, okay. Thank you. Thank you to both of you. Tama yan, ano? Hans, tama, no? Okay. 8873, which is the taxable income, which is your earnings before tax. And then we multiply it by the tax rate of 40%. So we get this one. Okay, let me just link that. That's your earnings before tax multiplied by the tax rate. Okay, 0.4. So they have 35,492. Perfect, guys. Good. Good. And then afterwards, you subtract now your tax to get your net income after tax. Okay, or this is your earnings after tax, EAT or NIAT. Okay. All right. So after that, guys, anong gagawin dun sa what will be the disposition of your net income after tax? Okay, we said that companies decide whether yung net income tax yan, yung 53 238, whether it is flowed back to the operations in the form of retention rate, no? Or alala nyo to, dividend payout ratio, guys, in the form of dividends. Okay, so in our case, the company decided to issue for 43,300 as dividends, and then 9938 flowed back to operations. Okay, so what's the dividend payout ratio? So the dividend payout ratio is, so this is equal to, ang binigay na dividends is 43 divided by 53. So that's around 81%. 81% yung issued as dividends. Okay? 43,300 out of 53,238. Okay, therefore the retention rate, we know, guys, is just 100% minus 81.3. So that's around 18.7 approximately. Okay, clear to, guys? If you're going to ask me, how did the company arrive at this? Siyempre, pinag-aralan nila yan. No? They remember, guys, that one of the main functions of finance is in dividend decision making. So it's nasa responsibility ng financial na dapat alamin nila kung ano yung ano, kung mag-i-issue ba ng dividends, and if so, how much. No? So that's in the purview of finance. All right. So if you take a look last year, ngayon 81.3% yung dividend payout. Last year, it was, tingnan natin 80%. Mukhang consistent yung company na nag-i-issue ng mataas na dividends. Ano? Okay, pag ganyan yan, ibig sabihin, maganda yan kasi it's sending a strong signal, hey, we're awash with cash. Sufficient pa yung rene-retain namin ng cash para sa mga projects. So we have we're capable of really issuing dividends. Okay. Any questions so far, guys? Pause muna ako. Any questions? Clear ba so far? Okay, thank you. Thank you. Okay, so we now go to the balance sheet, the statement of financial position, statement of financial standing. So we can see here that these are the assets, liabilities, and equity. And you have here, as of December 31, so tingnan nyo, walang nakalagay na for the year ending. Nakalagay lang yung date. Dito nakalagay for the year ending. Dito, yung date lang, December 31. So this is at a specific point in time. So meron tayong assets. Ang composition ng assets niya, may total current assets tayo at saka PPE. So dalawang klaseng assets lang to. No? Wala siyang long-term investments, wala siyang intangible, wala siyang other assets. Okay? So yung total current assets natin, wala lang tayong prepaid dito. No? So lahat yung cash and cash equivalent, short-term investment, receivables, inventories, no prepayments. Okay, so that's the balance sheet of Advanced Technologies. Total assets 807,750. Okay, noong 2019 it was 769, and we can see that using the formula that we learned, P sub T over P sub T minus 1, there was a growth of 5% din yung growth ng ng assets. No? So it matched the growth of the revenues. Okay, so cash And then we have here short-term investments, receivables, inventories. Okay. By the way, guys, kunyari, this was a manufacturing company, usually magkakaroon ng note yan. Kunyari, note letter D. Okay? Assuming this is manufacturing, guys, and then sa ilalim, magkakaroon ng explanation kung ano yung inventories. Ano yung tatlong types ng inventories, guys, pag manufacturing? What are they? Inventories, guys, for manufacturing. They will include what? I think we have discussed this, guys, yung tatlong klaseng inventory for manufacturing. Pag merchandise, guys, isa lang. So whether you record it as a periodic system or perpetual system, di ba? I'm sure you're learning this. Pag periodic, di ba, purchases yung pag-record. Pero perpetual, it's use inventory, di ba? Hi, sorry, how did you get 0.05 Basti beside the total? Okay, ganun din, no? Okay, may question dito si Basti. Okay, so this one. The value in 2020 divided by the value in 2019 minus 1. Remember yung formula natin kanina, yung simplified na formula ito. Value at time t over value at time t minus 1 minus 1 instead of using this. Okay? Okay, makes it a lot easier when you use Excel. Okay, I hope you're convinced, guys, that it's a lot easier. Pakita ko ulit just to recapitulate. It's a lot easier kasi ito magpaparenthesis ka pa, no? Okay? Mamali tayo, guys, pag hindi tayo nagparenthesis. If I remove this, okay? Ang mangyayari niyan, magdi-divide muna siya ng G11 over G11. So which is not what we want. Gusto muna natin i-subtract. That's why you have to put the parenthesis there. Okay? So that gives us the wrong answer. Okay. As compared to this, okay, simple lang, wala nang parenthesis. That's why pag growth rate, guys, this is the formula that I use kasi mas madali talaga siya. Okay. So where was I? Okay, thank you, Mika. Raw materials lang ba? Mika, raw materials, work in process, tsaka finished goods. Okay, tama, no? Yun ang tatlong levels ng inventory kapag manufacturing. Okay, so dapat may note yan kasi dapat naka-define sa ilalim yan. Okay, then we have net fixed assets, no? Okay, paano nakukuha yung net fixed assets? Net fixed assets, paano yun? How do we compute for that? 'Di ba? Pag net fixed assets or PPE, no? So, una muna yan, fixed assets. Fixed assets, then at cost. Okay? Yung acquisition price yan. Yan siguro may note dito. Kunyari, note E o note 5. No? Note E, so sa ilalim, yung list ng mga fixed assets natin. Kunyari, kung 20 fixed assets, so isa-isa yan naka-list. And then, what do you subtract here, guys? Less what? May sinasubtract tayo dito. Ano sinasubtract natin? Anyone? What do we subtract? Yes, thank you, Mark. You're correct. We subtract accumulated depreciation. Okay, not depreciation, guys, ha? Kasi ang depreciation, expense yun. And it will not enter the balance sheet. Yung accumulated depreciation, yun ang papasok sa balance sheet. And anong klase ng account yung accumulated depreciation? May tawag tayo dyan eh. May tawag sa accounting dyan. Accumulated depreciation, then dash, then your fixed assets. What kind of account is this? Asset ba yan? Liability ba yan? O equity ba yan? Okay, thank you, Eva. It's contra asset. Kaya sa tinatawag na contra asset kasi lagi siyang kadikit ng asset which is related to, and then mina-minus siya. Okay? Thank you, Hans. Contra assets, no? Okay? Thank you, Basti. Okay. Now, When you subtract this, ano na makukuha natin dito? Ito na yung net fixed assets. No? Net fixed assets natin. Pag binanggit na natin or the book value, no? Pag tinanggal na natin sa sa original price yung cost, yung accumulated depreciation, then we get the net fixed assets, or that's the book value. So ito ang pinakita lang sa atin, net fixed assets dito. Pero pag ganyan, dapat may mga notes yan, ano? Kasi dapat papakita for full disclosure. Hindi pa pwedeng ganyan lang, net fixed assets. Kailangan may notes dapat yan explaining how 33750 was arrived at. Paano naging 33750? Again, for full disclosure, dapat nakalagay yan. Okay, so accumulated depreciation. Isa naman, accumulated amortization. That's used for intangible assets. So pag may intangible assets, inaano din siya, yung that's quote-unquote depreciated over time using accumulated amortization. So may amortization expense din, parang depreciation. Okay, then liabilities and equity, guys. Ayan, meron tayong current liabilities at saka long-term liabilities. No? So si current liabilities natin, we have okay, so let me just, yan, kasi hindi ko makita yung time. Okay, you have accounts payable, you have accruals, you have notes payable. Okay, alam niyo naman guys yung accounts payable, di ba? You're having, I think now, merchandise accounting. So dinidiscuss niya yung trade terms. Di ba? Yung 2/15, N/30, where you get a discount of 2% if you pay within 15 days. Okay, from a finance perspective, kailangan ubusin niyo yung, yung 15 days bago kayo magbayad. Tapos sa finance din, we'll discuss that when we do sa module 4 yata. Titingnan natin ano yung cost sa company kung hindi kukunin yung discount. Kunyari 2% discount na yan. May cost ba sa company yan? Yes, may cost yan. So what's the cost to the company? We'll learn to compute that. Okay, accounts payable, these are trade payables, no? These are ano to? Pautang to ng supplier in the course of the business. So kunyari, since matagal ka ng customer niya, the supplier will give you favorable treatment in the sense that bibigyan ka kunyari ng 30 days na term. And in fact, bibigyan ka pa ng discount kung na 2% kung, example, if you pay within 10 days, kunyari, or 1% if you pay within 20 days, etc. Okay? So accruals, guys, these are expenses that have already been incurred but not yet paid. Kunyari, kuryente, guys. Kino-consume na natin yung kuryente, no? Unless kung kasi may prepaid na kuryente na ngayon. So you have here, let's say, yung Meralco, no? So ginagamit na natin yung kuryente, tapos ibibigay sa atin yung bill. Okay, that's an example of an accrued expense. Nagamit na natin pero hindi pa natin nababayaran. Okay? Alright. Ano naman yung notes payable? Anong kaiba niya sa accounts payable? Ang notes payable, guys, parang security din yan. No? Umutang tayo, tapos may IOU tayo. Ito interest bearing to. Ito hindi walang interest yan. So that's a difference. No? Okay, so long-term debt, alam din natin na ano yan, may interest yan, and it's a term for more than 1 year. Bonds payable, 5 years. So long-term debt yan. Okay, and lastly guys, yung equity side, yung capital side. This is what distinguishes it from a sole proprietorship or a partnership. Pag sole proprietorship, ang nakalagay dito, Bob, capital. Okay? Or pag partnership, you have several names and then capital. Okay, pag corporation, guys, ownership is represented by shares of stock. So ang account nun, common stock. Okay, so pag nakakita ko yun ng balance sheet, kasi wala pa kayong corporation accounting, ano? Pag nakakita kayo ng balance sheet, tapos nakita nyo sa equity side, common stock, corporation yan. Pag nakita nyo A capital, B capital, partnership yan. Okay? So also in a corporation, sila lang may tinatawag nating retained earnings. Okay, ito yung earnings accumulated over time. Okay, wala niyan sa sole proprietorship, wala niyan sa sa partnership. Okay? So yung natin, yung assets natin 807, it was financed by liabilities and equity. Okay, so total 807,050. They should total the same. I should know that. Okay, so we go now to the next part, which is ito. Guys, pakitanggal lang ito. Dapat 40% to, sorry. So 40% yung ginamit natin sa taas. So we're asked to construct the statement of cash flows. Yun ang unang gagawin natin. Yun ang unang activity natin. And we won't be able to finish this. So ang target natin, dapat matapos na natin totals class. Ito. Okay, first question, ano ba yung mga financial statements na kailangan para ma-construct natin yung cash flow statement for 2020? Okay, you'll have a different answer if the question is, what financial statements do you need in order to construct the cash flow statement for 2019? So iba yung answer doon. Ang question sa atin kasi pinapagawa sa atin yung cash flow statement for 2020, ano daw yung mga FS na kailangan natin for cash flow statement 2020? So the answers are, ano guys? Sige, in the interest of time, lagay ko na. Balance sheet 2020, balance sheet 2019, and income statement 2020. Okay, so these are the 4 financial statements. Oops. Okay, ito siya. Ito, yung 3 financial statements na kailangan natin para makapag-construct ng cash flow statement for 2020. May balance sheet ba tayo ng 2020, guys? Do we have balance sheet for 2020? Okay, yes. Thank you. Thank you, Mike. Okay, thank you, Ada. Thank you, Hans. Yes, we have, no? Thank you, Mika. Now, meron ba rin tayong balance sheet ng 2019? Yes, Basi, thank you. Okay, yes din, no? Ada, thank you. Meron din tayong balance sheet ng 2019. Now, do we have the income statement for 2020? Okay, yes then. Thank you, Mike. Okay, thank you, Mika. Since kompleto yan, guys, then we can say that we can now construct the statement of cash flows. Okay, so based on that, ito guys yung pro forma ng statement of cash flows. So if you will take a look at this, you see cash flow, operating activities, cash flow investing, cash flow financing. Okay, but before we can do this, guys, ang suggestion ko magkaroon tayo ng ito template, no? We'll work on this template kasi pag nagawa na natin to, madali nang i-construct to. Kasi ito, guys, itong ano na to, itong statement of cash flows, galing lang dito yan. Okay, so ang gawin natin, mag-compute muna tayo dito, tapos pag okay na tayo, saka natin ililipat na lang dito. Okay, so how do we now do this template? Andi dito ni operating, investing, financing. Okay, so ang gagawin natin, we're going to look at the different accounts and see how they affect operating, investing, financing, kung may mga cash implications ba yan. Okay, so let's start, guys. Let's start. So ang una natin, syempre, kailangan natin income statement ng 2020. Doon magsisimula yan. And we'll pick it up from the net income after tax. Okay? So ito, net income after tax. Of course, guys, yung net income after tax, operating yan. No? So ilalagay natin dito, 53,238. Okay, so take note, guys, we're constructing the statement of cash flows for 2020. So unang kukunin natin, guys, yung net income after tax ng 2020, which is 53,238. Okay, question. Now, we're creating the statement of cash flows. Ang question, is this amount, yung 53,238, is it equal to cash? Paki-yes or no nga, guys? Is that equal to cash? Okay, sabi ni Mark, no. How about the rest? Ada, no. Okay, Mika, Basi. Okay, correct. No? Correct. Hans, thank you. Thank you, guys. Thank you for your answer. Tama kayo. Hindi cash yan. Bakit? Bakit, guys? Bakit hindi siya cash? Pwede you can unmute yourself, guys, para mas marinig din ng classmates yung answer nyo. Anyone who'd like to volunteer? Why are we saying that this is not equivalent to cash? Anyone? Any volunteer? Kung bakit hindi siya equivalent to cash?
Sir,
Yes? Who's this, please?
si Mark po.
Mark, sige. Mark, thank you.
Sir, is it because income is recognized as revenue and it's not collected po?
Okay,
And cash instead of, yeah.
Okay, that could be a partial reason. Pero usually, hindi yung pinaka-main reason. Kasi you're correct eh. Kunyari, yung revenues, yung iba dyan hindi collected pa, di ba? Right?
Yes, sir.
Kaya, paano siya magiging cash kung receivables pa lang yung iba? Kaso Mark, parang nagle-level out lang siya kasi may mga receivables din tayo last year, in 2019, di ba? May mga receivables din tayo noon. Tapos, iba doon mako-collect sa 2020. Okay? So, yung iba naman receivables natin ngayon, hindi pa nako-collect. So, parang nag-even out lang siya. So, in that regard, we can say na pwede pa rin natin i-consider na cash yun, no? But there's a more let's more important reason why we should not consider this as cash. Okay. Pwede pang elaborate natin. Okay, but thank you, Mark, for answering. You made a good point. You made the right point. Pero in practice, sabi ko nga, kino-consider na rin as dinidisregard na rin natin yung receivables. Kasi technically, Mark is correct. Eh yung mga sales naman, may mga receivables yun eh. So how can we say that it's cash? Eh receivables pa lang. But as I said, there were receivables in 2019 that were collected in 2020. So it turns parang na-offset lang naman, no? Na-offset lang. Okay, so the answer, guys, is that when we craft the income statement, tingnan nyo, guys, nasa income statement yung answer. Andyan. It's very glaring, guys, kung bakit natin hindi masabi na hindi cash flow yan. It's there. In fact, I discussed that a while ago. Okay, anyone, guys? All right, Mark, it includes tax. Binawas natin tax, and tax is cash. Cash payment yan. Hindi papayag ang government na parang na receivable nila yun. No? Talagang ang payment ng tax is cash. So we don't have any problem with tax kasi binawas yun eh. In arriving at the net income, we reduce the income by the tax. No? So okay lang yun. So it does not make the net income after tax not cash. Anyone else? Thank you, Mark, for your answer. No? Thank you. Okay, so let me see. Ano ba dito? Okay. All right. So sabi ni Basti, net income does not reduce the amount of cash from a company. Okay. Medyo, Basti, clarify lang natin to. Okay. So thank you, Basti, for your answer. Pero may nakita niya answer ni Mika. That's actually the answer. Okay. Remember, a while ago, sabi ko, sinisingle out yung depreciation, di ba? But depreciation is a non-cash expense. Pag sinabi natin depreciation expense, ibig sabihin nun, wala naman tayong linabas na pera. Okay? So, when you compute for the net income after tax, nagbawas tayo dito ng mga non-cash expenses. So that will make our net income after tax not equal to cash. Okay? Wala nga lang tayo dito na revenues na non-cash. Kasi may mga revenues sometimes na non-cash eh. In that case, guys, dapat i-adjust natin yung net income after tax in order to convert it into cash. So anong gagawin natin? What are we going to do with this depreciation and amortization? Can you tell me, guys? In order to adjust our net income after tax. Kasi gusto natin siya maging cash equivalent to cash. Yes, thank you, Aba. We're going to add it back. Bakit? Kasi binawas natin siya, di ba? Binawas natin itong depreciation and amortization. Okay, to arrive at 53,238, binawas natin 33,100. So dapat, to adjust this, we add back your depreciation and amortization. Okay, good guys. Okay, I'm happy with your responses, guys. No, we learn a lot, guys, dun sa process na to na nabibigay kayo ng answer kasi naka-clarify natin yung mga naka-clarify natin yung ano natin, yung discussion. And I'm really so happy, guys, na there are many of you who are really participating. And I do take notes, guys, no? Na alam ko kung sino yung mga nagpa-participate. Sana, guys, yung iba din sana, don't be ashamed to chat or to unmute yourself and participate in the discussion. Okay, so sabi ni Ava, kailangan natin i-add back to, no? I-add back natin si depreciation and amortization. Yan. Okay? In-add back natin si depreciation and amortization. Wala naman tayong non-cash revenues. Kung meron sana, ibabawas naman natin yun. Kasi kung revenues, dinagdag natin sa sales, non-cash revenues, dinagdag natin sa sales, i-adjust natin yun, dapat tatanggalin natin. Okay? So, ang tawag natin dito, guys, ito, net cash flow na to, no? Okay? Pag in-add na natin itong dalawang to, net cash flow na to. Okay, so, all right. Now, by the way, guys, nakalimutan ko sabihin to. When we're doing statement of cash flows, anong account ang ini-investigate natin? What account are we investigating, guys? Obviously, it should be statement of cash flows. What account in the balance sheet are we investigating? Guys? Real accounts? Okay, it's a real account, but specifically what, Mike? Real account nga siya, pero which account? Equity. Okay. Ulitin ko, guys, ha? Statement of cash flows. Yun, thank you. So, cash, syempre. Di ba? Kasi statement of cash flow siya. Ang ini-investigate natin dito, yung galaw ng cash. Okay? So, ganun lang yung guys. No? Statement of cash flows, we're investigating how cash has been moving. So, noong 2019, nung beginning ng 2020, January 1, 2020, cash was 45,000. December 31, it was 47,250. Tumaas ba yung cash natin? Tumaas yung cash? Okay, yes. By how much? By how much did cash increase? Okay, correct, no? 2250. Thank you, guys. Thank you, Eva. Thank you, Mika. Thank you, Lance, for answering that, no? So it's equal to 47 minus 45,000, di ba? So there was an increase of cash by 2250. Okay, ito yung magic number natin, guys. Ito yung hahanapin natin. So nanggaling to? So we're going to take a look at the operating, investing, financing activities of the company, and hopefully pag inad natin lahat yan, dapat 2250 dapat yung neto natin. Pag hindi 2250, Houston, we have a problem. Okay, so let's start, guys. Let's start. Okay, so let's start with the balance sheet. Ito ini-investigate natin, di ba? Cash and cash equivalents, short-term investments. Okay. What happened to short-term investments? From 3.6 naging 3.8. So was there an increase or decrease? Increase. Thank you. Thank you, Basti. Increase. Thank you, Richard. Okay, nag-increase siya ng 200, di ba? 200. So pag ganyan, guys, pag tinitingnan natin yung galaw ng mga accounts natin, okay, tatanungin natin, anong activity ba yan? Operating, investing, financing, at saka tatanungin natin, source of cash ba yan o use of cash? So two important questions, guys. Number one, take a look at the account and then ask ourselves, anong activity to? Operating, investing, financing. Tapos, source of cash or use of cash? So let's give an example. Short-term investment. Ano to? Operating, investing, financing. Clue. Interest bearing yan. Kahit pa paano may interest yan. So saan siya papasok? Function to ni finance. No? So dito siya papasok. Tanong. Source of cash ba to? Pag source of cash, positive ilalagay natin dito. Pag use of cash, negative. Okay? Source of cash or use of cash? Nag-increase nga di ba? Yung ano, okay, thank you. That's good. Basti, si Basti lang sumagot. Yung iba guys, nag-increase yung parang cash equivalent natin from 3.6 naging 3.8. I want to see the answer of others. Okay, thank you. Yan. Oh, naiba yung sagot ni ano, Eva. Okay, joke. Thank you, Eva, for the joke, no? So, source ka rin, Eva. Okay? Alright, so it's a source of cash. So, dapat ilalagay natin sa financing, magkano ilalagay natin dito? Itatapat ko, ha? Magkano, guys? Paki-unmute na lang. How much?
200.
200. How do I get 200? Is equal to? Link natin dito. Is equal to what?
Yung short-term investment po ng 2020 minus yung
Okay.
short-term investment ng 2019.
Yan. Thank you. Thank you. Very good. So, this one minus this one. Okay? So, source of cash, 200. Next, guys. Next. Accounts receivable. Okay, sorry. Ang goal natin matapos itong ano. Okay lang tayo, guys. Ano? Questions? Ito short-term investments. Let me flash the formula quickly para ano. Okay, sabi natin source of cash to, no? So, it should be positive, no? Source of cash, so 3.6 minus 3.8. Okay. Dito tayo sa accounts receivable. Unless there are questions. Ano yung negative, Eva? Pag may parenthesis ba, guys, negative? Ay, sorry, Basti. Sorry, Hans. Okay. Alam, mali. Okay, sige. So, sorry is equal to this one minus this one. Okay. So, let's go now to receivables, guys. Receivables increased from 270 to 83,500. Any questions?
Sir, question po. Why is it still negative po?
Ay, negative pa rin. Ano ba yan? Grabe naman, no? So, ano ba dapat yung gagawin ko dito? Sino to?
Si Basti po.
Basti. Sige, Basti.
It's 2020 po. Yung short-term
2020.
2020. Sorry. 2020 minus 2019
okay,
po.
Okay, yan. Okay? Alright.
Oh.
Sige.
Sige po.
Bakit? Anong ginawa ko, guys? Mali. Tama ba ako? Mali.
Sir, plus po yung naka...
Anong mali ko dito?
Sir, I think the operation po you used is the plus sign, not the minus sign.
Okay. So, dapat...
It's yung short-term investment. Sorry. Yung 3,800 po. Tapos
Okay.
minus.
Okay. Sige. So...
Apa.
Sir,
No, sir.
Sir, may lumalabas na negative symbol.
may lumalabas pa na negative. Okay. So, is equal to what? Is equal to?
3.8, sir.
Okay, 3.8.
Apa.
Sir, pindutin niyo, sir, yung
Okay,
3.8.
bakit
3.8.
tayo? Guys, ayaw umano na mouse ko sa 3.8. Ba't ayaw? Ayaw, oh. Bakit? Kayo ba, guys, na-access yung 3.8? If I try to put my mouse in 3.8, ayaw niya. Are you able to do that, guys?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Ba't hindi ko ma-access
Yes, sir.
yung 3.8? Wala, ba't ganun? May problema
Sir.
yata yung Excel ko.
Sir, may nag-hack.
Ha? May Okay. Sige, ibalik ko na lang sa original yan. Okay. Wala ba kayo napapansin, guys?
Sir, what do you mean po?
Wala kayo napapansin sa answer ko?
It's negative.
Oo. So, hindi napansin na pinaglalaroan ko lang kayo, guys. Guys, hindi mo napapansin na pinaprank ko kayo. Yan, thank you. Yan, nakuha nyo rin. So, bakit, guys? Ano ba dapat to? No? Ano yung answer natin? Is it a source of cash or a use of cash? Alam nyo, yung Excel ko may magic, no? Pag alam niya na mali, hindi niya, tingnan mo, sinusubukan ko kanina, grabe yung pag-press ko dun sa 3.8, oh. Ayaw niyang ilagay, no? Okay, now you got it, no? Kasi, hindi yan source of cash, guys. Okay, question, very quick question. Pag mag-i-invest tayo sa short-term investment, kunyari, pupunta tayo sa broker, sabihin ko natin, broker, I want to invest in T-bill, 91-day T-bill, let's say, worth 5,000. Okay, anong ibibigay mo what do I give what do I give the broker? Guys, syempre, kasi bibili ka ng short-term investment, di ba? Anong ibibigay mo sa broker? Come on, guys. Quick. Yan, cash. Yes, cash. So, pag nag-increase yung short-term investment natin, naglabas ba tayo ng cash net o nagpumasok yung cash? Of course, you know the answer, guys, no? Therefore, guys, pag nag-increase yung short-term investment natin, yun. Thank you, Mark. Thank you. And the rest, guys, you're correct, no? It's a use of cash. Okay? Lumabas yung cash eh. So, this should be a use of cash. Okay? I hope it's clear, no? All right, next. We have a few more minutes. Goal natin, guys, matapos to hanggang dulo, hanggang dito sa totals. Let's go now to accounts receivable. Ito, madali lang to, no? Operating, investing, financing. Paki-chat nga, guys, operating, investing, financing, tapos source of cash or use of cash. Dalawa ang i-chat nyo. Tumaas yung sales nito, no? 270, naging 283. So, where will it be? Operating, investing, financing, OIF, para mabilis. Tapos, S kung source, U kung use. Okay, operating tapos, yes. Good. Okay, operating source. You're correct, no? You're correct. So, punta na tayo dito. Sorry guys, medyo hinahabulan natin time, ha? So, it's receivables, so source of cash. So, okay. Next, guys, inventories. Ala, may question mark din. Ayun, kine-question na ako ni Eva, no? So, nasa yan siguro ni Eva na ginigimik ko lang kayo, no? Pinaprank ko kayo. Ikaw din, Eva, kanina sinabi mo use di ba? Doon sa short-term investment. Tapos, medyo ginulat lang kita ng konti. Okay, Eva is correct, guys. This is a use of cash. Bakit? Hindi pa natin nakokolekta yung pera, guys. Bumenta na tayo, nag-increase yung hindi pa natin nakokolekta yung pera, di ba? Accounts receivable. Yan. So, that should be a use of cash. Careful, guys, ha? Careful, ha? But I hope it's clear to you, no? Pag ang accounts receivable umakyat, whether it's merchandise inventory, bumili ka ng merchandise, binenta mo sa customer mo, hindi mo pa naman nakukuha yung pera. Naglabas ka na ng pera para mabili yun, di ba? So, it's a net use of cash. Okay? Okay, I hope that's clear. Yan. Diyan tayo natututo sa mga ha-ha-ha, yung mga ganyan. Kasi nagmamark yan yung ganyan eh. Okay, pag tuloy-tuloy lang tayo na na medyo mas makakalimutan natin yan. Pero pag naalala natin, oops, dati namali yung answer ko dito eh. Okay, ito, sigurado na to ha. Inventories, guys, from 135 to 141. OIF, S or U? Yan. Correct, Mark. Operating to. No? Pero, source or use? Obvious yan, ha? Obvious. Thank you, Mika. Thank you, Basti. Dapat isama nyo kung S or U. U. Thank you, Mark. No? So, it's a use of cash. Di ba? Bumili tayo ng inventory. From 135, tumaas ng 141. So, it tells us that we purchase inventory. So, 135 minus 141. Okay? So, it's a use of cash sa operating. Okay, dito tayo, no? So, total current assets, hindi na natin papansinin yan kasi we're looking at the individual assets, no? Net fixed assets. Okay, answer again, guys. OIF, S and U. Saan siya papasok? Tapos, S ba siya or U? Okay, yan. Very good, very good. So, you got it, guys. It's investing. Source of cash or use of cash? Hindi nyo sinama. Sana nagkakama kayo. Source? Source ba to? 315, naging 330. Okay? So, iba, it's a use of cash, no? Yan. Thank you, Mark. Thank you, Richard. Ada, thank you. No? Okay, kasi bumili tayo ng equipment, di ba? From 315 noong 2019, naging 330 siya. Okay? Alright, so ilalagay natin sa investing and then equal to, it's a use of cash, 315, so dapat negative. Yan. Okay, a few more, guys, a few more. So about this, accounts payable, liabilities and equity na tayo. Accounts payable. From 90 to 94,500. O, I, or F? O, I, or F? Okay? Operating, OS, OS, mukhang kuha nyo na. Okay, you're good, guys. It's a source of cash. Kasi umutang tayo niyan, di ba? Accounts payable, bumili tayong inventory. Kunyari, binayaran na ba natin yung supplier? Hindi pa, nasa sa atin pa yung cash. Okay, so it's technically a source of cash kasi hindi pa natin binabayaran. Okay, so it's 94 minus 90, source of cash positive. Very good. Accruals, guys. Accruals. Mark, ano yung H? Wala na, may ano ba tayo? May horse or whose of cash? Joke lang, Mark. Akala ko yung H mo kasi either S or U. Sorry guys, medyo comic lang ako ngayon. Okay. Alright, ito. Next, accruals. Oo nga, nakakailan na ako. Takot tuloy ako sa inyo, baka balikan nyo ako next meeting, next Tuesday, biglang walang umattend ng class ko, no? Pinaprank nyo pala ako. Okay, sige, accruals guys. O, I, or F? S o U? Answers, guys? Accruals? Operating, yes, correct. And source, tama. No? Tama. So, pinaghati nyo pa yung answer nyo, Mark at saka Ada. Ayan, yun, kompleto, no? OS, tama, OS tayo. Operating yan, tapos source of cash. Kasi guys, accruals, iba, expense that has already been incurred but not yet paid. So, dapat binayad na natin sa Meralco yan. Hindi pa natin binabayad, no? The cash is still with us. So, that's correct. Operating siya, tapos, ayan. Okay. Notes payable. Saan to? OIF or, and then SU? Okay. F, S. Yan. Very good. Perfect. Thank you, Mark. Thank you, Richard. Thank you, Basti. Ada, thank you. You're perfect yan, no? Notes payable should be under financing kasi interest bearing yan, no? And then it increased, ibig sabihin, nadagdagan yung utang natin. Alright, so source of cash siya, under financing. Okay, that leaves us with a few more. Okay, tama-tama, matatapos natin to. Long-term debt, guys. Long-term debt. Saan papasok to? Same thing, same question. Long-term debt, hindi siya I, Mark, hindi siya I. Interest bearing to, so should be yes. F siya. FS. Thank you. So tama, no? Tama na. F. It's okay. So long-term debt is financing kasi may interest yan, and then it's a source of cash. Nadagdagan yung utang natin. Yan. Okay. Next. Common stock, guys. If this will always fall under financing, no? Common stock yan, no? Now, ito wala naman nagbago, pero isusulat ko lang dito, no? Pag nadagdagan yan, guys, ibig sabihin source of cash yan kasi ibig sabihin may nadagdagan na investors. Okay? Dun sa company, no? Retained earnings is not included, guys. Hindi siya sinasama kasi yung retained earnings galing sa net income yan eh. May net income na tayo dito, no? So magdo-double count tayo pag pinasok natin yung retained earnings. By the way, guys, ito, pakita ko lang to, na nakalimutan ko i-discuss to. Saan nanggaling yung 99,938 na to? Okay, just to quickly show you. Okay, yung retained earnings natin nung 2019 is 90,000. And then, pagdating ng 2020, guys, ano nangyari? Okay, ulitin ko retained earnings natin, so ito yung cumulate na earnings up to 2019, 90,000 na siya. Pagdating ng 2020, nadagdagan na naman yung earnings. Magkano yung earnings? 53,238, of which 43,300 was distributed as dividends and 9,938 lang yung flowed back to operations. Okay? So therefore, yung prior retained earnings plus yung nadagdag na retained earnings ng 2020, which is 9938. Yan. 9938. Okay, that's why we get 99,938. Okay, so just to tell you how this was obtained, it's the previous retained earnings plus whatever addition to retained earnings was added in 2020. Okay, so yan, pinakita ko lang. Okay, it's already time, guys. Tapusin ko lang to ito na. No? So, if we add this, if we add all of this sum nito, inad natin lahat ng operating. Okay, so here it tells us that there was a source of cash natin from operating is 72. Tapos use of cash natin sa investing 15,750. Tapos source of cash sa financing 21,562. If we sum this up, you get 76,650. Okay? Houston, we have a problem. Kasi ang lumalabas sa net increase in cash natin 2,250. Bakit ito 78,650? So may mali tayo. Okay? So next meeting we're going to discuss that. Finish this next meeting hanggang sa dulo, no? Okay? Let's see, guys, kung magkaka-activity tayo. Gusto ko munang tapusin kasi ito, no? Bago tayo magka-activity para sa mga bonus points. Alright? I hope you learned something, guys. Pakichat nga kung may natutunan man lang kayo ngayong araw na to. Okay, thank you, thank you. Yan. Salamat. Yung iba, may natutunan ba? Yes, good, good. Thank you for the feedback, guys. Okay, that's good. Salamat. So let me end this, stop recording ko muna.